No funny intro today, just a little bit of a PSA. I'm going to be talking about some kind of deep stuff today, including pet death. And so if this is not something you're in a good space to listen to, trust and believe I will understand, and I will see you in my next video. But if you are in a place to listen to me babble and cry, then let's get into it. Friends, hello. Welcome back to Amethyst Craftworks. I'm Samantha. And I've been making this video off for about a week now. And I think I can finally talk about it without completely bursting into tears. I'm sure the intro gave you an idea of what I'm about to talk about. But before we even get to that, hello. How are you? I hope you are doing good. I hope you're having a great July so far. I am sorry to say that today we will not be talking about the movie Marquee, any of my current projects. I'm not going to be talking about my books that I have read, granny squares that I have made, hat and scarf sets that I've got to show you. I have a whole pile of those things to show off to you and talk about. I have a new movie to discuss. But my entire July so far has been stressful and sad. And I think it's time to just sort of tell you the story. So, grab yourself a drink, take a sip of water with me, get yourself a project. I'm not even going to talk about this project because this is just something that I've got here in my lap to work on, because crochet, full stop, has been about the only thing that can help my mind just shut off. To the point where I've been pretty much only crocheting for the past week or so. And so I'm going to sit here and work on my project, and we are just going to chat about something that I've genuinely dreaded talking about, dreaded happening. If you were a pet parent, if you were a dog mom, if you were a cat dad, if you are a hamster parent, a bird parent, any kind of fur or feather or scale baby that could possibly be your little loved one, then when I say there is a day that we all dread as pet parents, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And on July 9th, I experienced that for myself. Okay. I'm trying so hard here. So, to kind of give you a little bit of backstory, at the beginning of the year, Ralphie, my sweet Ralphie, at the beginning of the year, he had a vet appointment. And even though he was 17, his vet appointment went pretty good. It was a, everything vet appointment. So he had blood work done, a full vet exam done, blood pressure taken, nails clipped, ears cleaned, the whole 9 yards. He had everything done. And his bill of health came back good. For being such an elderly dog, he was doing good. His vet was very impressed with how spry he still was. He was very opinionated, shall we say. In fact, that's the word that his vet used for him, was opinionated, in that he let them know there at that vet office that he didn't like having his nails trimmed. He definitely didn't want his blood drawn. How dare you come with a blood pressure cuff? What do you mean you're gonna weigh me? He made it very known and very obviously known that he did not like anything that was happening there, which I think left quite an impression with his vet and all the vet techs and stuff there. And, you know, I'd been taking him there since I moved into this house. So, 6 years, 7 years, 6 years or so. So they were very familiar with Ralphie and his shenanigans. And his vet gave him a pretty good bill of health. She said for being 17, he might have the beginnings of a little bit of dementia. And he has always had issues with his back legs. There were a couple of points where I spent many an hour in emergency vets when his back legs stopped working. It happened 3 or 4 times in his life that his back legs stopped working. He's a dachshund poodle, dachshund. And dachshunds are prone to a degenerative disc disease called IVDD. And his vets, all the vets that I had ever taken him to, all the emergency vets, had all said that he had IVDD and that it was compression on his spine, and that dachshund dogs and dogs with dachshund bodies, so long spine, were prone to medical issues with their back, and that's what Ralphie had. And his spine would compress, and it would cause his tail and his back legs to just stop working. And yet, even though I had bought him a little wheelchair, which cost Mother a pretty penny, you know, little wheelchair where his front paws could just go, but there's wheels on the back that would take him along. Even though he had that, and his vet essentially was preparing me to have a paralyzed dog, he always bounced back. It just is the way Ralphie was, I guess. And he never fully recovered. He still was sort of bumbling and would lose his balance and like trip over his own feet and, you know, tumble in the yard and stuff. But that was just how he was. And so, you know, she said his back may give him problems, and he was on a couple of medications for both like neurological pain and anxiety, of which Ralphie, I dare say, had more than I do, even. But he was on these medications, and, you know, clean bill of health. He's good. There's some underlying issues, but for a 17-year-old dog, he was good. And then, slowly, things sort of started to change. He had always kind of had issues with me with eating. He was never very much a food-driven dog. He didn't really love treats, and in his later years, his teeth got quite bad, and so crunchy, chewy, hard, pretty much any texture that treats usually are for dogs, just sort of weren't correct for him, given the fact that his teeth were bad and he couldn't really chew. He couldn't chew like kibble style dog food. The last few years he's been like on a strict pate style food for, I want to say, maybe 3 years or so, maybe 4. And just food for him was never a motivator, we'll say that. He was very much a praise motivated dog. So if I would tell him, good boy, mama's good boy, he would get very excited and happy. And that was how we like potty trained with Ralphie, was praise, not food. So food had always been kind of an issue with him. And slowly but surely, he would refuse to eat. And him skipping one meal here and there wasn't out of the ordinary. Didn't really trigger any sort of concern for me. But it started to happen sort of more and more frequently. He also got a little more lazy, a little more lethargic. But on the flip side of that, he would also like lay with me, but not be able to like completely relax. His medications kind of were losing their potency, or maybe more accurately, he was developing a immunity to them. So we had upped the dosage for his medications and stuff with his vet, and his anxiety was the kind where he would just lay and whine, right? Like, just lay with not a care in the world, fully fed, like, gone outside to pee, comfortable temperature, soft, cushy bed, plenty of blankets, plenty of pillows, nothing in the world to worry about. I'm there, he's there, no loud noises, nothing. Perfectly content environment. And then he would just lay and whine and whine and whine. And this started happening more and more frequently as time went on. He also kind of started bumbling around in the yard a little more than usual, where he would just sort of all out just kind of fall in the grass, and then I'd have to pick him up, which I, of course, did every time. But this started happening more and more. And at the end of the week before the 9th, so I don't remember, the days truly blend together for me in those last couple of weeks, because his whining got worse. He would be whining all night long. No amount of medication would fully calm him down. And then he'd be running around on the bed, waking me up very early in the mornings, and I just wasn't sleeping very well. So those days kind of all melt together. But either Sunday or Monday before the 9th, he just stopped eating altogether. My usual tricks that I, keep in my back pocket to entice him to eat. So putting little chicken in his food and mixing it up, or a little piece of cheese, tearing it up, or shredded cheese, sprinkling it on top and mixing it in his food. Or he really liked bananas, so I would give him a piece of banana and slowly lead him to his bowl of food. Things that I had tried many, many times over the years with his food. Peanut butter was also one. If I put a little on a spoon, led him to his food bowl, he would eat the peanut butter and then just sort of nosedive into the food. None of my usual tricks were working, and he stopped eating altogether. And then slowly during that week, so Monday, Tuesday, he stopped drinking. He got very skinny just kind of out of nowhere, to the point where his vertebrae on his spine, I could feel each one on the back there. And I know that didn't happen in a few days. I know that had happened over the course of time, but I hadn't noticed it until then. And I don't want to get too graphic here, but because it's just not necessary. But he had a little blood in places where it's kind of a big deal to find blood. And deep breath. I got this. On Wednesday morning, I had let him sleep in his crate overnight. In any of my videos, if I have ever set something right here, his crate is right here, right beside me. His crate has always been here, in the bedroom, with me, right beside my recording and workspace. And I have yet to fully remove it, so it's still there. I can't bring myself yet to get rid of it. But Tuesday night, he was having trouble walking. He was kind of falling over more and more than, he had. And I knew he was weak, and he was tired, and he was thirsty and hungry, but wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink, no matter what I did. I didn't want to stress him out more by, forcing water into his mouth. I don't think that would have been a good idea anyway. But he still was trying to move around, and still trying to, bumble away, across the floor. And he kept trying to jump off the bed. I was getting into bed Tuesday night, and he kept trying to, slink his way off the bed. Every time he moved, I just was awake. I couldn't sleep with him in the bed. And it didn't seem like he could sleep in the bed either, because all he wanted to do was just slide right off the bed to the floor. So I put him in his crate, for both my sanity and for his safety. And I woke up Wednesday morning on the 9th, and he could no longer move. Period. He was laying in the bed in the crate, and he'd had an accident and just laid in it all night. Because he couldn't move. And I had no idea. And I picked him up out of the crate and went to try to clean him up. And he had that 1,000-yard stare. If you know, you know that stare. And I knew it wasn't fair to him. I knew I couldn't keep him anymore. And so I had my best friend call the vet for me, because I was a wreck. And I couldn't even talk. And I was just holding him, trying to clean him up. And I told her to ask them how much euthanasia would be, and if they could take him in that day, Wednesday. And they took him a couple hours later. And when I tell you, that was one of the hardest things that I have ever had to do in my entire life. All the loss that I have had, parents, grandparents, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was be there with him when they put him down. It was like someone was ripping part of my soul from me. That boy was my world. You could not tell me in that moment that I didn't birth my dog myself, with how much it hurt me. But it was necessary, because he was miserable. And his vet said, the body dying takes a long time. And if I could put him out of that misery, it was the kindest thing I could do for him. But it was awful. Awful. I have never in my life cried that much, that hard. I felt responsible for him. Like I'd let him down somehow. Even though I know I haven't. Because my little dog was the weirdest creature on this planet. I don't think anyone else would have given him as much of a chance as I did. I felt a little kindred spirit with my weird creature, because he was anxious and I'm anxious, and he's neurotic and I'm neurotic. And I think I gave him the best life that I could. But he was with me through so much. Moves, family losses. He was with me when my mom died. I think the only reason I ever even got out of bed after she died was because of him. Needing to walk him and take him outside and feed him, and having him help me have a normal schedule again. In my life now, I never realized how much of my life was his life. My entire day-to-day schedule was Ralphie. Wake up when he needs to go outside in the morning. Feed him breakfast. Morning meds. Another trip outside. And then I'd work for a while, and then my lunchtime and his lunchtime. More medication, more outside. The end of my workday, more medication, more food, dinner time. More time outside. And now my day, I just kind of am like a lost orb floating around my house. I don't know what to do without him. It's been a week, and so I still haven't found the new routine. But his absence is palpable in my house. It's just me now, and it's quiet and lonely. And I don't know. I don't know if another little dog or any other kind of creature will come into my life. Maybe. But I don't think I'm ready for that. Sometimes people have to have another dog, another cat, another animal to take care of, to have, you know, a distraction. Me, I think all I can think about is the fact that another pet means putting myself through this again. I don't think I can do it. I don't. Ralphie was my little furry soulmate, I think. I've never loved a creature, an animal, a person more than I loved my little dog. And I miss him. I still look for him. I swear I see him out of the corner of my eye sometimes. I look for him when it's meal times, or when it's medication times, or when I forget that we haven't been outside in a couple of hours, you know, that kind of thing. The first morning after he was gone, I woke up to an empty bed and thought he had jumped off the bed. And I immediately got up and started calling him because I thought he was running around my house being bad somewhere. And it's when I remember that it really hurts. Because it's so easy to forget. I had him for so long. I adopted him when he was 2. But I had him for 15 years. That dog was 17. I had him in my life long enough that I don't even remember what it was like without him. And now I have to go on and try to function normally without my boy. And it's been tough. It's been a week of tough. And I wanted to make a video because I had shared him with you guys. I at least have videos and pictures and things to look back on him. But I wanted you guys to know my stupid glasses are fogging up from my crying. How silly. Anyway, I had shared him with you guys, and I wanted to share the end of Ralphie with you too. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to me. It helps talking about him, even though I miss him so much. It hurts so much, but talking about him helps. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it a lot, and I can't get my glasses to stop fogging. I think that's a sign that it's time for me to cut this sob story short. There we go, kind of. So thank you for watching. I hope you're having a good July. I hope I wasn't too much of a downer. And when I can actually function enough to make a proper movie marquee video or book video or any kind of video, show and tell, anything, I will see you then. I'll see you then. Take care. Goodbye. Come here. Come here. You want to say hi to the peeps? Come here. Say hi, Ralphie. Say hi, Ralphie. Say hi, Ralphie. Really so far, Ralphie. Okay. Ralphie says hi. A couple of times. Ralph? Now he has the zoomies.